Welcome to the Bastrop Podcast. Real people, real stories, all from right here in Bastrop, Texas. I'm your host, Matt Walker, a local business owner, realtor, and entrepreneur with Wisdom House Realty Group and Bastrop Drone and Media Company. We sit down with the locals shaping our community, from the mayor's office to Main Street shops, and bring you the voices behind the town we call home. Ron, thank you so much for meeting with me. We're today over at the Anointed Hands Barbershop. How you doing?
Man, I am super excited. Thank you for being willing to come to my place of comfort here at Anointed Hands, or just at the barbershop in general. But thank you guys for having me, man. I'm excited for the conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is a fantastic spot, and I'm really glad that we were able to, make it happen and chat.
Yeah, Mr. Irv is real passionate about the shop and keeping it, making sure it looks good and the environment. A lot of times you go into barbershops and, it's not the most kid-friendly or it's not the most family-friendly to outside. My first time in Anointed Hands Barbershop, they were actually serving Thanksgiving plates. So it could have been the food that drove me back or not, but I just love the family culture that they have here. And I feel good when I can bring my girls into the barbershop with me.
That's great to hear. Yeah, that's fantastic. So let's dive in. Tell us a little bit about your journey into ministry. You started really young. What sparked that calling?
Yeah, man, I can probably, if I had $1 for every time someone said, "How old are you?" and I give them my age, they go, "Wow, no way." So being a kid of five, a child of five, growing up in our household, we had my parents, my mom, my grandparents, they were believers. And so we hung around the church for a long time. And I remember when we lived in Houston, we went to St. John's around the corner and we would just walk there. And my grandmother would be there for Sunday school and Sunday before Bible study and then actual service and then the service after the service. And I always just felt a deep calling that, man, I'm going to eventually be in some sort of ministry and serving people. I was at a revival in Houston with my mom, and the pastor came, and they did in revivals, growing up missionary Baptist, at the end of a revival, you have an altar call at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go up to the altar call, whether you're repenting for getting drunk all day the other day or, giving your life to Christ, etc. And I received a word of prophecy, and the pastor there, told me, he said, "You're going to be a pastor and you're going to be a fisherman of men." In that moment, I was like, don't really know about this here. Or I also knew pastors was held to a level of perfection that I was at that age. Like, I don't want, I don't want to not be able to get in trouble. I don't want to not be able to hang out with my friends. I don't want to be, the lame guy or whatever comes with it, whatever stereotype that comes with it. And so I was really grateful. I had a guy in my life who kept discipling me, picking me up, taking me to church when my family couldn't go, made sure I was present. And it really grew my passion for sharing the gospel. And it was so organic, even growing up in the projects, I would be sitting down and chilling with my friends, and everyone would call me a pastor, or they'd say, "Man, there go Big Ron the preacher," or "Big Will the preacher," and I'm like, "Man, I just want to be cool too," So I think it has always been a part of my title, and when I stopped running forward and from it and started stepping into it, God really started clarifying what that looked like in my life, and so I started a podcast myself. Well, it wasn't considered a podcast; it was 1-minute videos that I would roll out, and it was like minutes with Ron, and I would get up in the morning and I would do like fresh manna and do these different scriptures. And that was in my teenage years. And from that moment, I knew that there would be a day where I would lead a congregation, and there would be people who God called me to uplift and minister to.
That's really cool to hear, and just, listen to the whole story.
Yeah.
Condensed version.
Exactly.
Really
Yeah.
cool.
It's a whole lot more. We don't have
Yeah.
We don't have enough time to talk about it. But definitely, man, it is to abbreviate it. God just spoke to me at a young age through confirmation of elders who I trusted. I stopped running forward, started stepping into it, and that's how I am where I am today.
Nice. So you and your wife are both deeply involved in Celebration Community Church. What has it been like raising a family while leading ministry together here in Bastrop?
Well, I can tell you that it's definitely not been the most easiest job,
Mm.
but I am very blessed to have a very supportive wife who is constantly praying for me, constantly telling me when I need to chill out, when I need to get somewhere and sit down. But I think it's encouraging, and also I've worked in the construction industry, I've worked in education, but this is my favorite job, and one because I get to spread the gospel, but two because I could do it with my wife. And she's the children director at Celebration, and we tag team ideas. She's telling me when I'm doing something wrong. I attempt to tell her when she's doing something wrong. Yeah, exactly. It never plays out in the best way, but she's just great. And I think one of the biggest things are the most encouraging thing for us is watching our kids watch us be followers and believers of Christ. They see us worship, they see us pray, they see us read our Bibles. Matter of fact, at nighttime, we play this Bible game. My girls go get their Bibles, and we can guess what book they're in, and they just open up a book. Just to be able to see that, and to be a dad that says, you know what, I'm not choking my kids with religion, but my wife and I are being living examples of what being Christians look like. And I think that is the hugest blessing to us both. I think she would say the same.
That's really, really cool to hear.
The other night, I was actually sitting down, and I'm just scrolling on Facebook, and two of my kiddos, the oldest two, are in the room getting ready to go down for bed, and it got real quiet. And I'm like, this is not normal. Normally they are, killing each other. Something's, it was just quiet. And I go in, and my oldest, Zariah, is sitting there with her Bible, copying in her notepad, like just scriptures. And that honestly was like a super emotional moment for me. And it was also a convicting moment for me, because I'm like, I could have been sitting down, writing scriptures down. But I think it's just evidence. My wife wakes up in the morning, she opened her Bible, she's writing notes. The kids are watching, they're seeing us. Again, it's not choked down. We're just trying to be the best living examples as possible.
That's awesome to hear. So you're the vice president of the Bastrop Christian Ministerial Alliance. What are some ways you and other leaders are working together to uplift the community?
I am the vice president of BCMAD. One of the things that we're doing as we try to bridge the gap and continue to build the community of unity here. And that's what the organization is primarily focused on today, is really unifying Christian leaders in this community. Years ago, and even now today, there's probably still some minor acts of segregation of like, these people are here or these believers are here. And so BCMA objective is to really plug ourselves in the community, to be a jail. We will say to be the peanut butter and jelly between the breads, right? And really try to be the best example of unity. And so as the vice president, I am reaching out to churches. I'm reaching out to pastors. I'm having lunch. I'm going to their needs. I'm making sure that we're available for them for whatever need they may have. And so as we continue to work on the unity, created a few intentional luncheons. BCMA has always had monthly meetings. And so one of the things John and I did was we stepped back and said, how can we make this luncheon intentional with people's time? These are pastors, these are leaders, these are people who are running other ministries. And so what we've done is we do like table talks and lunch and learns, and we're having nonprofits host the meetings and come together and present something and walk away with a principle. And then we do a pastor's luncheon every month where just the pastors get together for no other reason but to break bread and say, how are you? I just want to be a pastor's friend. How are you doing? How's your day? How's your ministry? What's going up? And with no agenda at all, really just to genuinely show care for them.
Yeah, and I think anytime that you can have just a group of people in general, believers especially, just together without that agenda, just to allow them to be themselves and talk and get to know each other better.
Absolutely.
Those are always great gatherings.
Man, as a pastor, we're always... We put ourselves on the back burner for everyone else. That's our assignment. That's our job. We're always prioritizing the needs of the people that we serve. And so to come in this group of pastors and other leaders, and we're just like, man, okay, now bring y'all self back to the front line, and how can we pray with you? And like I said, we're breaking bread. We take communion. I've seen 40 pastors gather at the top of Chapalas and sing, and I'll show you the video after, but sing a song of unity. And it's so emotional because it really shows what the Great Commission is, and that is to go and be, fishermen of men, but go in unity, go as one.
That's really awesome to hear. You're currently earning your ministry degree. How has that education been shaping the work you're doing now?
One of the things that I truly believe is you can't feed people if you're not being fed, right? And so for me personally, while I study my Bible and I try to be very intentional with studying my word and making sure I am biblically correct, I think this ministry pursuit or this degree pursuit has really been to really open up my eyesight to the different levels of Christianity, to be able to meet all needs on all levels. Growing up missionary Baptist, I was very tunnel focused, to where this degree really allows me to step outside of that perimeter and to be able to learn other ways of ministering, other ways of caring, other ways of teaching. And so for me personally, it has really shaped becoming someone that is being fed to go out to feed the people.
Yeah, I 100% get that. Yeah.
Like a reader, right? Things we say at Celebration is not a teacher if you're not a reader, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to go out, you have to read in order to be able to teach. And so that's what we really focus on. Is it's not about knowing it all, but it's about delivering the 10% of the knowledge that you go out and study. And ministry degree really became, my family, for us, something that really helps me be a better servant and disciple of Christ as possible.
Makes a lot of sense. Looking ahead, what is your vision for faith, family, and the future of Bastrop?
Man, that is such a good question. My vision is that we just get to a place where we don't care about what each other, who has this or what this group may have, but we walk outside our house and I'm able to say, Matt, this is my brother, this is my friend. What are your needs? How, as a neighbor, I serve you? And I think one of my biggest vision is that we become a place, Bastrop, back to a oneness of serving each other, helping out our neighbor in a family friendly place, making sure we're keeping the historic Bastrop family friendly for, families to walk downtown and to see the awesome Bastrop Museum, or a barbershop where they get to come in and have great, fruitful conversations. And so I think my main vision and for Bastrop is really just that one day we'll be able to walk in so much unity that people driving through Bastrop will be able to say, like, it's just something different about this place. And then I also I want this place to be a place where it's hard for any resident here to go to hell, because Jesus is everywhere. He's at this house and that house and that house.
I love it. Love to hear it. What are 60 seconds of wisdom that you can share with the Bastrop community?
Awesome. Well, I think personally, one of the things that I learned in college is how easy it is to make an excuse. And a lot of people use their background or some of the things that they're going through in life. While I do believe that sometimes trauma causes delay, I had a professor tell me that excuses are tools that build bridges that gets you nowhere. And so I would say to anybody that have an idea, that have a path, that want to do something, to just go out and do it, and don't make an excuse about why. You can always find an excuse of why not to do it. It's hard to find a major reason of why you should do it. Just say, leave the excuses alone. Opportunity is now. Don't wait for tomorrow, and go out and do what God has called you to do.
I love to hear it. No excuses.
No excuses. That's it.
I like it.
Hashtag no excuses.
No excuses. Is there anything we didn't talk about today that you'd love to share with the people of Bastrop?
Overall, my vision for unity, if we can start in our home by teaching our kids and our families to love each other, no matter what they look like, no matter what someone may have, I think it'll really help the bigger goal and the bigger vision here of bringing us together. I think ultimately it starts with our little children, like your sons that you have running around. And so I think it just starts with us in our household. And if they don't get anything out of this podcast, I would just say really start creating unity within your home so it's easily contagious in the community here in Bastrop.
That's great. So let's say somebody wanted to get a hold of you. How can they reach out?
You can find me on Facebook, Ronald Wilson. You can email me at cccpastorron at gmail.com, or they can shoot me a call. I'm an easy guy to get a hold of. You can call anybody in Bastrop. I'm sure they're going to probably know me and say, hey, Ron, yeah, I know that guy. And the easiest way of get a hold of me on Facebook and shoot me a messenger.
Awesome. Well, Ron, I appreciate it so much. It's been
Awesome
a great discussion.
This has. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for listening to Bastrop Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, follow us on Instagram at wisdomhouse_tx and share it with a neighbor. We're here every week with the new conversations from people who make Bastrop feel like home. Got someone you think we should interview? Reach out. We'd love to hear from you.